Today on our chronological rewatch of the Clone Wars, we are under a cloak of darkness. Sides of Coin starts right now. Alrighty, boys, let's get into this. We've got a pretty good episode this time. There's an extra Jedi here. There's a council member. I'm not sure if she's on the council or not, but she is a master, Luminara Unduli, and it's a pretty good episode. So let's go over who we got here. We got Michael joining us.
How's it going?
Good to have you, man. It's good to have you here. Wyatt is producing us today.
How's it going?
Doing a bang-up job, for sure. All right, well, let's get into this, man. Generally, I thoroughly enjoyed the episode. I thought it was really cool. We got to see some cool character moments from Ashoka. Ventress had a good bit to do. She was pretty hard in this episode. Got a lot done. And what'd you think?
I thought the last episode with Jar Jar was better. It was a good episode. It was actually. You're right. Everything about what we've complained about in the past is starting to like tighten up and get a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, coming off of the heels of that Jar Jar episode, it might
that bad.
It might calibrate it too, though, and make it seem like just so much better. But yeah. So I guess to synopsize it, Newt Gunray was captured in the last episode by the heroic actions of Jar Jar Binks, and so he's en route to Coruscant. And so Ventress has to sneak on board and try to either free him or silence him. So Ashoka and Luminara Unduli, with the help of Commander Gree, who's one of the clone commanders, and Captain Argaius of the Senate Guard, have to try to protect and prevent that from happening. Turns out Captain Argaius is a bit of a traitor, and Gunray gets out. So there's a lot to break down. It was a good episode, but anything jump out at you?
I mean, besides like Ahsoka's kind of vehement aggression, and she's joking at first, but then she's also talking to Ventress, and the banter back and forth is she's like, "You'll remember me from your grave," kind of thing. She's like really gung ho
give you
about
a merciful death,
right? Like
it might have been another episode, but she's
that
definitely
happens.
got some snark.
Gee, I don't know if snark is the right. It's like fire.
Yeah, some
like
spark.
You're definitely picking up something from Anakin. I don't know
Yeah,
if it's
for
the right
sure.
stuff.
It's interesting. I liked the sort of dichotomy between, or the split between Argaius and Gree, sort of their two differing points of view, giving Ahsoka advice about how to be a good soldier, and sometimes it's about doing what you feel is right. And well, what's so funny, Wyatt?
The camera was on Michael way too long for that.
Well, all right. So let's talk about Argaius then. What'd you think of Captain Argaius?
I remember watching it the first time and then watching it this time and going, yeah, this guy's a bad guy. Like, I don't know what it is about his face. I think Wyatt said it too. There's something about this guy's face. I think it's a credit to the character designers. You just know this guy is.
Was this cat?
Yeah,
this guy.
that's him. Yeah, Captain Argaius. So he's the leader of a team of Senate commandos. So they're not the guards that are in the films, but they're an offshoot of it, created for the war. And I guess he was paid off by Dooku.
But also working with Ventress, which was kind of interesting. When I was rewatching this, I thought maybe this guy was Dooku's backup plan for when Ventress inevitably failed, because they made a big deal about like, all right, you can't fail this time.
Yeah,
like,
you've got to make this happen.
You really have got to.
Yep.
Yeah. So I thought this was maybe a backup, but then it was clear they were working together to some degree. They were aware of each other.
Right. They were cogs in the wheel, and then of course when he got greedy at the end,
I mean, that's probably part of the plan from the beginning. It's
honestly, to
pretty
tie
standard.
up the loose ends, but Stabbard, good.
Yep, Stabbard.
Freudian slip there.
Right.
He definitely stabbed him right through the back. But yeah, so that's an interesting point though, because we've been sort of complaining. You were talking about tightening things up. This really turns the key on the villains actually starting to produce.
Right.
So Ventress makes good on her mission to free Gunray, and then we'll talk about it in the next episode. But Grievous has a lot to do in the next one. So it's starting to turn that corner and run the bend, so to speak, as far as the villains and the bad guys are actually starting to be productive in these episodes, and I kind of like it. It raises the stakes.
We start to see a lot of the arrogance that you would expect to have seen throughout episode 2 and 3, but especially 3, like what led to the downfall of the Jedi. You see a little bit of Luminara. She's definitely wiser, more controlled than Ahsoka, but she's super arrogant. She thinks she can handle it when
Yeah.
she just because she has more experience, she thinks she can handle Ventress.
Right.
And she's like, oh, I've seen this before. It's just an assassin. And Ahsoka's like, I mean, Ahsoka's wrong in her own right too, but it's
Sure.
you definitely see what led to their downfall, and it's very evident in her demeanor.
Yeah, so the sort of hubris that was there for sure. I liked though the different take. So she spent a lot of time practicing, in the simulations or whatever, sparring with other Jedi, but she's never faced a real live Dark Jedi or Sith or whatever. So it's all been theoretical. So it was neat to see. I liked that a lot.
And it was great choreography. The fights were fantastic.
Yeah,
It was very episode 5, stuff thrown around and
For
them
sure.
fighting
There's a lot of interaction with the environment. I liked Ventress's plan too. I mean,
It actually made kind of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
like
wasn't
they-
too convoluted.
dropping the group of droids to be the diversion, and then the way she killed
Oh.
that last survivor was hardcore.
And those infiltration ships that like punch through
Yeah.
the hull. Oh, those are awesome. Love those.
And we've seen those in the Rishi outpost too. In Rookies, those are
Right.
the same ones. It's cool to see a functioning piece of hardware that actually makes some sense. It was
Right.
really functional. It did a good job. Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of this episode. It was a lot of fun to see. Gunray was hilarious.
See, I don't know. Gunray was my Jar Jar. I thought he was a little cringy. He just seems so different from what we've seen him in the movies. He wasn't quite so annoying. Like, he was incompetent, and he was obviously a puppet, but he wasn't quite so annoying. I don't know. I mean, it's a kid's show, so what are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
it
But-
wasn't. To me, it wasn't over the top. I liked the line in particular was, I've always had a good feeling about you, assassin. And then or the captain, and then the captain dies, and he says the same thing to Ventress. It was just a very heavy-handed way to show that he's a very slimy dude.
Oh,
So,
they
no pun
definitely got
intended.
that. Yeah, they got that across for sure. It was just I don't even think he really looks like Newt Gunray. He just kind of looks like a generic Nemoidian.
Yeah,
I felt
he's
like
pretty stylized.
Gunray looked very different from the other Nemoidians in episode 1 and 2 and 3. So I don't know.
That-
Nitpicks, because there's not that much to nitpick.
I think
about
the
this episode.
Nemoidians are a pretty good example of variety within a species that still show that they're the same species.
Right.
9 times out of 10, it's just like a mask, and you could tell all
It's like
Rhodians.
a hut.
All
They're huts.
Rhodians look the same,
Right.
And most of the huts look the same, and all the Weequay look exactly the same. But the Nemoidians do have a good bit of variety in all their
Kinda like
faces.
the
and
Twi'leks.
stuff.
They
Yeah,
have-
the
they have
Twi'leks
good-
too, for sure. But yeah, that was cool to see. I'm trying to think of anything else that jumped out at me, but overall, I mean, it's getting a lot more solid for sure. I like this episode quite a bit. Let us know what you guys thought in the comments. It'd be a pleasure to have a conversation with each and every one of you. Let us know what you think, and we'll be back next time to venture into the lair of Grievous. This has been Sides of Coins, and we'll see you next time. I'll gut you like a Rokarian dirtfish.
Yeah, jeez. Wow.
I was kidding.
I was just kidding.